Pawn Stars boss Rick Harrison pays a lot more than what the guest expected for his paintings in the bustling heart of Las Vegas, where lights never dim and fortunes rise and fall in an instant. There exists a small but iconic pawn shop that has become a cultural phenomenon. Pawn Stars, the hit reality television series that debuted on the History Channel in 2009, has captivated audiences for over a decade with its unique blend of commerce, history, and personality-driven storytelling. At the center of it all is Rick Harrison, the sharp-witted, silver-tongued owner of the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop. Known for his shrewd business acumen and no-nonsense approach to negotiations, Rick is not someone you'd expect to see offering more money than asked for, especially when it comes to high-value items like rare paintings. Yet in one unforgettable episode, that's exactly what happened. A guest walked into the shop expecting a modest appraisal for a set of old family paintings, only to be stunned when Rick offered far more than anticipated. This moment not only became a highlight of the show, but also showcased a side of Rick that viewers rarely see: his generosity, appreciation for art, and respect for personal history. This article dives deep into that memorable transaction, exploring the background of the guest, the significance of the paintings, Rick's decision-making process, and the broader implications of such an unexpected deal. It also reflects on how moments like these contribute to the enduring appeal of Pawn Stars and reinforce the idea that behind every item brought into the pawn shop, there's a story worth telling. The guest who walked through the doors of the gold and silver pawn shop was a middle-aged man from out of town. He carried with him a sense of nervous excitement, as many guests do when entering the world of Pawn Stars. Clutched under his arm were two framed oil paintings, clearly aged and slightly worn around the edges. He explained that they had belonged to his late grandfather, a retired schoolteacher and amateur painter who had dabbled in art during his retirement. According to the guest, the paintings were created sometime in the 1970s and had hung in the family home ever since. He didn't know much about their value or historical significance, but mentioned that his grandfather had once claimed to have studied under a well-known regional artist in the Midwest. That detail piqued the interest of the team at the pawn shop, especially Corey Harrison, Rick's son, and Austin Chumley Russell, who often assist with appraisals and research. The guest, being realistic about the situation, admitted he wasn't sure if the paintings were worth anything at all. He estimated that maybe at best, they might fetch a few $100s. His main goal was simply to get them off his hands and put some cash toward a new project he was starting up back home. As is standard procedure on Pawn Stars, the first step was for the team to examine the paintings and determine their authenticity, condition, and potential market value. Corey took the lead in inspecting the frames and canvases, while Chumley began flipping through reference books and searching online databases for any mention of the grandfather's name or the supposed teacher he had studied under. Rick, meanwhile, listened carefully to the guest's story and observed the paintings with a critical eye. Although he's not an expert in fine art, Rick has learned enough over the years to recognize certain red flags and indicators of quality. He noted the brushwork, color palette, and composition, all of which suggested that the artist had at least some formal training. After a brief discussion among the staff, they agreed that the paintings weren't by any major names in the art world, but they did appear to be well executed and potentially valuable within niche markets. Rick decided to call in an outside expert, a local art dealer who frequently consults with the show to provide a more accurate assessment. When the art expert arrived, he spent nearly an hour examining the paintings under different lighting conditions, checking for signatures, and comparing them to known works from the grandfather's alleged mentor. What he found surprised even him. It turned out that the grandfather had indeed studied under a moderately successful regional artist from Kansas in the early 1970s. While not a household name, this artist had developed a small but loyal following, particularly in Midwestern circles. Some of his works had sold at auction for several $1,000s, depending on size and subject matter. The expert confirmed that although the paintings weren't by the mentor himself, they bore strong stylistic influences from his teachings. More importantly, the craftsmanship was impressive for an amateur. The use of light and shadow, the depth of field, and the attention to detail all pointed to a dedicated hobbyist who had taken his craft. The expert estimated that each painting could sell for between $3,000 and $5,000 in the right venue. Combined, the pair had a potential value of up to $10,000. This revelation left the guest speechless and Rick with a difficult decision to make. Typically, Rick offers a fraction of the appraised value, especially when dealing with items that require further authentication or may take time to resell. On PawnStars, the shop usually buys items at a discount to account for risk, labor, and overhead. But in this case, something shifted. Rick looked at the guest, then at the paintings and said, "You came in here thinking these were worth maybe a couple $100. You're probably still in shock hearing that they're worth thousands." He paused, then added, "I'm going to offer you something that I don't do very often. I want to pay you full retail price today." The guest stared at Rick, unsure if he had heard correctly. Rick continued, "I'm going to give you $8,000 for both of these. No waiting, no hassle. You walk out of here with $8,000 in your pocket." The guest, visibly emotional, thanked Rick repeatedly. He admitted that he hadn't expected to walk away with more than a few $100s, let alone 8 times that amount. The moment stunned fans and fellow cast members alike. Why would Rick Harrison, the self-proclaimed king of the pawn shop, offer full retail value for 2 paintings? Rick acknowledged that the grandfather had clearly poured time, effort, and passion into his work. He respected the fact that the guest had kept the paintings safe for decades and was now part of preserving that legacy. While Rick rarely let sentimentality affect business decisions, he understood that the guest had brought in pieces of personal history. By paying full value, Rick ensured the guest wouldn't feel shortchanged emotionally or financially. With the expert's valuation fresh in mind, Rick knew he could easily resell the paintings to collectors or dealers who specialized in regional art. He saw an opportunity to do well by doing good. Although Rick prides himself on being tough and fair, moments like these help humanize him in the eyes of the audience. Offering generous deals occasionally reinforces his image as a principled businessman who values integrity. The episode quickly became a fan favorite. Clips of Rick's generous offer went viral on social media, with viewers praising his kindness and professionalism. Many commented that it was refreshing to see a businessman prioritize fairness over profit margins, even if just for a day. The guest returned to the shop months later to thank Rick again, revealing that the money had helped him launch a small business selling handmade furniture. He credited Rick's unexpected generosity as the catalyst for his new venture. For Rick, the transaction was just another day at the office, but one that reminded everyone watching that even in the cutthroat world of pawnbroking, humanity can still win out. Rick Harrison has always been portrayed as the pragmatic businessman, the guy who'll haggle over $1 and won't flinch at turning down a bad deal. But episodes like this reveal the layers beneath the surface. Rick grew up in a working-class family. He understands what it means to struggle and to hold on to sentimental objects because they're all you have left of someone you love. When he sees someone in that position, he doesn't always go for the lowest possible offer. He sometimes chooses to reward honesty, humility, and hard work. His ability to balance business savvy with genuine compassion is one reason Pawn Stars has remained so popular for so long. Viewers aren't just tuning in for the drama or the deals, they're coming back for the stories, the connections, and the occasional reminder that people can still surprise you in the best way possible. The story of Rick Harrison paying far more than expected for a guest's paintings is more than just a feel-good moment on Pawn Stars. It's a testament to the power of empathy in business, the importance of recognizing value beyond the monetary, and the impact a single act of generosity can have. In a world where capitalism often seems cold and impersonal, Rick's decision serves as a reminder that success doesn't have to come at the expense of kindness. Sometimes the best deals are the ones that leave both parties feeling like winners. And in the end, isn't that what Pawn Stars is really about? Not just buying and selling, but connecting through shared history, mutual respect, and the understanding that behind every item lies a story